perfect for me. Miss Sandra, can you say a few words?
A few words. You sounded great.
I agree. I did
You
practice
have to use that.
I practiced that.
Yes.
I'll put that.
I think every day
Was
you've
your
been
face on the camera the
practicing.
second time?
Yes.
I think you've been practicing every day. That one day Mark will let you say that.
Honestly, no, you are exactly right. I've been trying to practice that. Maybe one day I was just gonna throw it out there, and then maybe they'll like it.
Maybe he'll let me do it. Aw, I feel great because it was on mine.
I like most of the things that he does. He sometimes gets scared to do them. I'm like, dude, just do it. Now we've got a camera back there, so he can pop on screen anytime.
Perfect.
We're calling it JC's 2 cents.
There
Like
you
you
go.
said, new and
Those
improved.
pencils,
I don't
those
mind
pencils.
doing it again.
And we're back with another episode of Key Factors Podcast with your host, Mark Jones, powered by ReviewMyMortgage.com, the largest index of mortgage products in the nation. And here's your host, Mark Jones.
And we're back with another episode of Key Factors Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Jones, and we are powered by ReviewMyMortgage.com, the largest index of mortgage programs in the nation. And this is the podcast, guys, where we talk about real estate and finance, hence Real Estate AF. And today I've brought in a guest, a good friend of mine that has been on the show before, but it was prior to us having as many subscribers and listeners and viewers as we have now. We are now up to about 13,200 or so. Last time I looked was just a bit ago. And I'm thankful for everybody that is continuing to tune in to listen to the guests. And as I mentioned, and will continue to live by, we only have experts on this show. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Sandra Rangel. Sandra, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Doing very well. So it's been a little while since you've been behind the microphone and in the booth, as we say. How you doing?
Good.
Yes.
Good. Just enjoying life, keeping busy, keeping up with the market,
And to that.
and chugging along.
Yes. And it is not as easy as it used to be or as easy as it once was. And we'll get into talking about some of the topics that make it difficult and what ways you can overcome that in today's market. But before we get into the meat and the potatoes of our discussion, I would like to allow you some time to tell our listeners, our viewers, who you are, why they should be listening to your advice, because I know how much of a rock star you are. But if you could, just kind of tell us how you got into real estate, how long you've been in it, all that good stuff.
So 18 years this month, real estate. Wow,
Congratulations.
time
Yeah.
flies.
Yes, it is.
When you're having fun.
Mhm.
But I came in a down market, in 2007. So right now it kind of feels like when I first, came in. I been in corporate, years past, 19 years before real estate. And so last job I had was like, USAA. Then I transitioned over to the Toyota plant. And so from the Toyota plant, I had the opportunity to get my license, did it evenings and weekends. And then, they cut back on overtime and they allowed some severance packages for people that felt that they needed to leave the business. And at that time, I was already doing okay for, part-time. And so then I took leap of faith and ran with it. And it's the best thing I ever did. And so now, 18 years later, I'm here. And so just working our way through it and growing in the beginning with the basics. And so now it's like shifting back to the basics, to get past, these past 2 years.
And that concept back to the basics is something that I've heard for the last year from all of the experts that we've had in here. And it's never rang more true than it is today. But you mentioned something that I want to kind of hone in on just to give the folks perspective in what we're talking about and all of this. You got in 2007. There was a massive crash that took place, and it wasn't really in 2008. It's kind of when it started and everybody saw the indicators of what's actually about to happen, closing doors, things of that nature. But 2009 is when it really affected the housing market quickly. What was that like? Could you take us kind of back like one of those?
And the thing with me, since I was always a workaholic, so when I was at the Toyota plant, my shift was over, everybody's leaving and there was plenty of work. So overtime was available. So I would stay late, get things caught up, get it ahead. And so I was like, well, why am I just doing this? So then I was like, let me just go get my license. And I had already just finished my business degree. So I was always accustomed to doing something, my day job, then my evening job. At the time, I was married, but we didn't have children and my husband worked evenings.
Mhm.
So what am I going to do with my evenings other than, okay, go out with my girlfriends, that gets old after, you can only do that so many days out of the week. So I was like, what else do I do? My degree is done. I was doing that in the evenings. Now my real estate license. So I, in the beginning, thought, well, who's going to use me? People, are they going to look at homes in the evenings, weekends? And actually, that took up a lot of my time. So after I got off work, then I was showing homes, doing that. And I was getting to the point where I was doing well. And I knew the time was going to come that I was going to have to make that decision, stay, full time at something, give it 100%. And so that's when the opportunity arose. And I said, you know what, it's a no brainer. I need to, run with this.
Yeah.
Who's going to give me a severance package to kind of cushion me over during that transition?
Right,
So it was a
right.
blessing in disguise. And so once I did that, I felt like, well, am I going to be successful? Because most of my business was evenings and weekends. I never had a client that said, well, I want to go during the day, but you work, or you're a part-time agent.
Right. It's almost as if you unintentionally shied away from folks as clients that needed during the day. So it really didn't happen because that's
Correct.
how you formulated your business at that time, according to your work schedule.
Because they could go on
That's
the
right.
weekends.
Yeah.
And if they work during the day, I was available in the evenings. There's times we were opening lock boxes, dark when the time changed. So my clients would be with the flashlights and they were putting the flashlights as I was trying to open the combo or, whatever the case was. Or when you first realized, oh, shoot, I can't open the super because it's after 8. I didn't know it didn't work.
Wow. And how times have changed so quickly, right? Now customers can, if they want to get access, they possibly can whenever.
Correct.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So in that time that you realized your business was growing, it was time to make a decision, and it wasn't necessarily a coin flip. It's like, okay, I've made some really good progress in this real estate thing. I can always come back to the Toyota plant or wherever else that I can in this profession. But when that 2008, 2009 crisis hit, did your business take an uptick, or did you see downturn, or was it business as usual because you were not really thinking about the outside forces and distractions and all the other things?
I believe I wasn't distracted because at that time it was business as usual. I was doing the same thing I was doing prior to leaving. I didn't know it was a down market.
Right.
I hear today, or years past, like, oh, you came in during the down market. I'm like, I never knew what it was, an up market or down market. I didn't come into real estate because, I heard all these people making all this money and I'm going to get into real estate because it's easy. I just continue to do what I do best. And, I would do my open houses on the weekends. I would let everybody know what I was doing. And that's where I started building up my clientele, is through the open houses. And, you would meet new people, you would make those relationships and, start nurturing those. And so that's how I built up my business. And, as time progressed, it was harder for me to be available to do open houses, but open houses work if you market them correctly and you let people know that you're out there, neighbors know, you'll have foot traffic. It's just, now they talk about mega open houses. So it's kind of, think of it that way, advertise as a mega
That's
open
exactly
house
right.
and you will get the traffic. And so that's how I started building up my, book of business. And then, just basically continuing that relationship with our clients and asking for the business. And
it's crazy how the basics of what you're talking about still stand true to today in today's fast, ever-changing, evolving industry. And I say that with an emphasis on, you mentioned it was business as usual for you. Well, there was a huge factor that I think alters our perception regardless of what we do. And that's called social media. Back then in 2008, 2009, no one was heavy into social media. There is nowhere near as much or as many people giving their take and all of the spread of information that's out there. So it was like, the news is saying this, but I've got appointments. So let's turn that off and just keep it rolling.
Correct.
Yeah. So that is hopefully to some inspiring to know that if you just put your head down and work, you will get some results, especially if you're diligent in your craft. So as you progressed, I know that you then built a team, became like mega top producer, I think one of the top in San Antonio in that regards. What do you think at this point is something that has helped you continue to maintain throughout these times, if that makes sense?
So the team actually that happened by, accident.
Sure.
It was more of a, hey, let's, work together, save some fees, office fees. And that's how it started with the first agent that wanted to collaborate. And so we're like, okay, great. I'm paying office space. You're paying office space. So why don't we split the office space? And, I'm doing well with my buyers. And so if I have anything that I cannot handle, then, you're going to help me out. So that was something that was supposed to be like the summer. And says name's James Rogers. Now he's in Hawaii. I hope he sends me leads from over there now, right? But so when he first started, on the team, it was supposed to be something more of a summer understanding. And then 5 years later, he was still with me. And so it worked out really great. And, he did his thing, I did mine. And if I needed help, he'd help. If I had a referral, then I'd give it to him because, he's part of the team. So we kept it within in-house. And at the time, I was so busy that if you're not on my team, but I gave you a lead, I didn't have the systems and structures to say, hey, are you following up with this person? Or having a list to keep up with who did I give that lead to? So it made it easier for me if they were on my team, then here, you close it. We're going to get a split no matter what. And I'm not charging an extra, referral fee, and it goes to the team. And I don't have to worry, was that your lead? Was that my lead? So I like that, concept. I didn't have to worry about, tracking anything. So then I had a friend of mine that she was going to get her license and I was going to bring her on the team. So we were already working on a second person. And then I had a real good friend of mine, Jacob Delgado. He's really successful. He's still in the business right now and we still collaborate to this day. He went in from new home sales to, traditional real estate. And he came to interview our brokerage. And I thought he was going to join the broker. And he was a strong agent that I didn't feel like he needed to be on a team because he was good in sales.
Sure.
That he was like, I want to be on your team. And I'm like, well, I'm about to get a second person. So now all of a sudden I'm getting a third one. And I'm like, okay, we got along. It was great.
Business.
Yeah. And that, it's funny you say that because a lot of people think when they join a team, it's because, well, I'm going to join your team and you're going to give me business.
Yeah.
But in my case, I had the mentality as a team leader because I wanted to help my
That's
people
right.
grow.
That's right.
But right now the mentality is like, let me teach you so you can grow. And so now if I have people on my team, it's more I say, I don't give you leads. Even though everybody on my team knows like, well,
You're
there's
going to
phone
end up
call,
getting,
you're going to
yes.
get it. But I always, right off the bat, I said, I'm not here to give you leads because I don't want somebody to come to my team with that expectation, because then they feel blessed that I'm blessing them with business instead of an expectation of like, well, you haven't given me anything.
Good point.
So
yes.
I got out of that. But at that time, he said, I want to eventually have my team. So I want to be on your team to learn what you do and help me then grow, my team.
Yeah.
So I like that because we went in with an understanding that eventually he was going to leave. And I feel that a lot of people don't want to join teams now because they feel like, oh my God, I have to give up so much of my split. And I have to do this, I have to do that. And they think that they have the mentality they're going to stay there forever. Think of it as short term.
Yeah.
I wanted to join a team when I first was going to get into real estate. I'll throw name out there, Robert Elder.
Hey.
So my husband had him speak to me because he was already very successful in real estate. And my husband was hoping that he would scare me out of, getting my license and going into real estate, and leaving my corporate job, my business, career.
That was Chris's intent.
Yeah. Yeah. And so he got with Robert. It's actually backfired because I'm a workaholic. And so Robert's like, you're going to work weekends, you're going to work evenings, you're going to, I'm like, so what's new? I'm already doing that now, right? So I really wanted to join this team because I wanted to learn because to me, this is new. I want to shadow someone. I want to follow someone's, ways and learn it, instead of just throwing myself out there. So I kind of had to do that. And so then I went full time. If it wasn't for that, I would have joined him. So I went solo. And so that's kind of how I kind of figured my way through. And then, starting the team. So,
and you mentioned a couple of things that I want to kind of pick apart there. The first one is the mentality that many have right now in regards to your mindset and what you were talking about with Robert Elder. You were willing to kind of shadow and go through the motions for very little pay or no pay to learn, to discover new things, because you hadn't had the transaction experience that a team leader in that role would have. Today, the new mentality is, if I'm not getting paid for everything that I'm doing, I'm not going to do it. And I think that is one of the old school mentalities that needs to be brought forward. And if you're not able to adopt that as a new to the industry person, you're going to miss out on plenty of opportunity to grow and learn the right way, in my opinion.
Correct. And I agree, because I'm not an expert at everything, but I always tell people, learn from my mistakes.
Absolutely.
Like, I've been there, I've done that. And yes, I'm not the new generation. I'm trying to keep up with social media, with the videos and all that, because I know it's important, but I know what I did to get where I am now, to be stable.
That's right.
I'm not, something quick, that just came up and I jumped on that bandwagon and then now I dried out. What do I do now? So I want to set someone up for success. And it's like, let's set up our basics, let's do your systems. Are you doing this? Are you doing that? Before, yes, I'm sticking with my basics, but I'm still adding new things and see if that works. And then figuring out, what, that's not working for me.
Right.
I need to stick to what I do best. But I am giving it a try. I am trying to see, okay, did it work for me? Is it going to help us? Is it not? Or,
And that's an entrepreneurial mindset in investing in yourself and taking the risks on new things to continue growing your business. Because let's face it, if you always do what you've always done, you're always going to get what you always got. So something has to change in order to change the course of the outcome of this future that you're currently residing in.
Yes.
And I believe that is one of the biggest things that helps you continue to not just maintain, but also grow in a market like we have today. You're willing to try new things. And if it doesn't work, it's okay. Matter of fact, trying new things doesn't mean I'm going to try it one time and base my decision on moving forward on that one instance. You've got to do it and be consistent with it. And I'll relate it back to, let's say, your bodybuilding stint, right? You had to be super committed, super diligent, very disciplined in that in order to get the outcome that you wanted, right or wrong.
Right.
And a
lot of people don't know that I did that.
Surprise! And right now on the left side of your screen, you can see, I'm just kidding.
I actually shared one of the pictures with one of the agents.
Awesome.
She's like,
I didn't know that.
God, that's you. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not.
Flex, real quick.
Flex. Yeah, with my.
Wow, I didn't. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah, man. So there was another thing that you mentioned before we get into our main topic here that I want to bring forth is the concept of building a team. There was a video that I might actually kind of snip and put right here within this discussion, but the gentleman is talking about building a team, and he plays a video of Gary Vee talking about how back when we were doing tons of business, there were a lot of supposed team leaders that were adding numbers to their team. And when I mean numbers, I'm not talking production, I'm talking people. Growing a team isn't just throwing numbers at it. The idea behind a team and why you grow a team is you're already doing the steps and the tasks and the needle moving activities that bring in the business, and you've already maxed your current capabilities or time frame, etc. So then you've got to add specific pieces to that puzzle. Whereas there's a lot of folks out there that go, you know what, let me just grow this big old team and that will solve it. It actually creates chaos. In addition to the uncertainty that now you as the team leader, regardless of whether they believe they're going to get leads or not, they believe by joining your team, doesn't matter who it is, that they're going to get some type of value out of it. And I think a lot of folks, especially today's market, are going, dang, I wish I didn't start this team and have this burden to have, because now I've got to kind of focus back on myself and my own production. Me personally, it was like, okay, there's not enough business out there to feed everybody. I've got to worry about feeding myself and my direct team members, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I don't know, a little quirky in regards to the team concept and if that will continue based on our markets. What are your thoughts?
I think it all just depends on what you have to offer. Like, I feel there's so many hats, and being 18 years, what am I doing with my knowledge and my experience? And as much as, you and I have talked about it, as much as I want to be in front of people and, be a public speaker, that's hard for me because, that's not in my wheel well, that I, being an introvert, being nervous and not feeling like that's for me. But if we're one-on-one, oh my God, I will pour my, everything I know, into you. And people are like, Sandra, you know so much. I'm like, you should go and speak. And I'm like, I get so many of my friends that tell me you should be speaking to, women, minority, being Hispanic. And I'm like, I really, really want to. And I'm actually, that's one of the goals that I'm working on is, getting to that point where I can do that. And, for the public speaking with people, because I'm happy to share my experiences and what works and doesn't work. But I feel like I'm more of a mentor than a coach.
Okay, I see that. Yeah.
I have coaches, one or two or three, depending. And like, successful business people will tell you they have a fitness coach, they have a, business coach, the different
Life
type
coach,
of coach,
exactly
life coach.
right. Yeah.
And so I think that's great, to have somebody to help you with coaching, because sometimes you need that person that you can, bounce ideas with, and having that person that's going to hold you accountable with the things you want to do and, as struggles that happen and success things that happened. But I feel that I'm more of the mentorship. So having in the beginning the team, it worked because I was able to pour into them. Everybody that I had on my team, like in the very beginning, they had their own comforts. Like I had Priscilla, that she was, public affairs person for the Spurs, Toyota. She was a people person. She did not want any leads because she didn't want stranger leads. She wanted to help friends and family, which kept her busy.
Sure.
And I was there to help guide her on things that she needed to do. Jacob, he came from New Sales. He didn't need me to feed him leads because he already knew how to go out there.
Right.
But he needed my guidance on structure and things, how to do things because I had the experience. Same thing with James being military. So it was different. So I felt like I had a group that they were all secure in what direction they wanted to go. And they just wanted to make sure that I kind of kept them within what we should be doing and how should we be doing, and as a team, how to grow, help them grow their business, and so getting different agents and different, personalities too, it's hard.
Yeah.
And so then when you get people that come in and it's like, well, what do I do? They want you to motivate them. They want you, to feed them leads and do everything. And it's like, you need to come with something. Give me something that I can help mold and help you figure out how you can grow, because I'll give them a list and say, okay, here's a weekly. Tell me what you do all day, every day for 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Not because I'm trying to micromanage you, because that's the last thing I want to do.
That's right.
That's what I had in my previous job. And I'm like, that was one of the big reasons why I left. And, but it's more to say, I want to see what you do throughout your day, because you might be doing something like bodybuilding. I didn't know. Like, how you can tap into that business. So then I can look at it and say, I think this is what we should do for your business with what you're already doing, instead of like a hard sell, soft sell, and start doing these things or start having these kind of events. Then I feel then I can tell you how we can help you grow.
Absolutely.
Versus, well, how do I get my business? And you not realizing, the golden ticket you have there, you just didn't know how to utilize it.
And it's incredible that you're mentioning that concept now, because we're rolling up on a new year and we do business planning each year. We create our one-page business plans and things of that nature. And it's a good time for those out there, and it doesn't matter if you're a top producer or not, to take a good bird's eye view of your business, gain perspective and what just took place the previous year to allow you to formulate your new goals, your new or same needle moving activities or success factors, whatever you want to call them. But they're the things that you do every day to end up with the goals that you need. What are the income generating activities that I need to do each day, and why do I need to do them, along with how often do I need to do them in order to be successful, which then allows you to kind of turn the knob up or down depending on your results from, let's say, the quarter, that half of a year, etc. And a lot of folks are not doing that. They think that I'm just going to fly by the seat of my pants and take them as they come and market when I market and do this when I can. But it requires more than that. It requires you to work on your business, not always in your business. And obviously, you've done a great job of that. And as we know, both you and I have gone through hiring, seeing team members that we've poured into leave, all of that good stuff that does not necessarily hurt us, because that was always the goal, intention of this.
Mm-hmm.
It is one of those things that, as a mentor, as a leader, comes with the territory, I would say.
It does.
And with that, a good transition in you getting to public speaking, running for Congress, all of those things. Sandra for president, y'all. I vote for that one for sure.
Same here.
Right? So that being the case, the very first podcast that we did was your very first podcast about a year ago or so.
Oh, yes. I was so nervous. I'm still nervous,
You can't tell.
years later.
Guarantee you guys out there cannot tell. And the reason being is because we're only talking about things that we know, That being the case, I'd like to kind of go down the journey of how that has progressed in you adding the video content piece to your business, because when we were having that was almost in preparation for what was to come. And what I mean by that is, at that time, you had made a conscious decision and a true effort to go, I am going to make video content consistently, even though Lord knows I do not want to do this.
Correct. Yeah.
Hey, I remember when we first had Sandra about, a year and a half or so ago, almost 2 years ago. And you were so afraid to get out of your comfort zone to do video. I mean, yes, you're so successful, but to get to do the next thing. Shortly after that, we started seeing more and more, and you were killing it with content, and you're continuously staying ahead of the game. And it's so good to see. And I think it's important to say that, because you, being one of the best realtors in the city, just evolving and just growing your craft and getting out of that comfort zone, that's huge. I remember, Mark, you
Absolutely.
You literally encouraged her, do it. And
Absolutely. Well, just like you, JC, rewind 3 years back and said, Mark, you should really do a podcast. I'm like, what?
But
I did that before. Yeah, I said that before I even started working with you.
So just as like a brief preview, if you want to throw up the reference real quick, you will see the content that Sandra has just religiously put out there.
So good.
And some of it's funny, some of it's informative, some of it's pretty to look at. Those are the ones that she's actually in, of course. But you can see the consistency and the intention of what she's doing. She's trying to get her customers, and I say trying, but I misspoke. She's doing right now what she intended to do. And I'd like to know, Sandra, how the heck did you kind of come to that conclusion? And then how's it going? Because after that, I want to go over some tips and things of that nature that we found here in why it's so important to actually incorporate this stuff.
it's like he just said, JC said, it's like, things are evolving. And, I know I'm older. I'm not in my 20s. And, might see, dinosaur over here.
She's lying.
So it's more like, you know what?
25. Come on, sister.
All right. We can put that
great.
way. But it's like, just because I'm older doesn't mean that I'm not going to keep up with, the new things are coming up. And that's being a businesswoman. That's where it's important for you to keep up with the trends, things that are coming up. There might be some things that it's not my fit, but you know what? What can I do kind of around that where...
Yeah, Sandra, not to butt in, but you just hit something really big. All the realtors I talk to, I try to encourage that same thing of social media, but I hear so many that say, I'm too old for it. I'm too old. No, you're not. Again, it's part of evolving. It hurts me to hear that because I mean, if you're consistent, you're going to have people slide into your DMs weekly.
Yeah, for your knowledge.
Yes.
You know, I'm like
That's
18 years in the
huge.
business.
Yeah.
How am I letting people know I know my shit?
That's
you know?
right.
So
That's right.
But there's a lady that I follow in Dallas. She's older. And I'm like, oh my God, I love what she does. She's so funny and she's cute and she's informative and she has a good mix. And so I'm like, you know, obviously age is just a number, but what I'm trying to get to, to that is that we hold ourselves back, like I tell you, okay, I'm shy. I'm not one to be in front of the camera, or I can't think on the spot, something, new, or somebody asks me a question, is like, okay, what do I say? But you know what? I'm going to find the resources that's going to help me, succeed. So what did I do? I hired a videographer. So when you see me in front of those videos, it's not always just me by myself, because obviously I'm going to feel stupid recording myself, or I'm going to feel like, oh, you know what? I didn't like how I sounded. I'm not even going to publish it.
Right.
So who am I hurting myself? So instead, what I do, I go hire the professionals, and, I'm like, okay, this is the video I want to do. This is, the message I want to portray. Let's brainstorm. So obviously I need a videographer that's going to help me find the best, ideas, the best for me, to stand out. And so once you find that right partner that's going to help you brainstorm the ideas, put yourself out there. And I have people say, oh my God, girl, that was really good. And I'm like, you know how many takes that took? I'm like, that was the final product. And just the other day too, that I just posted one that I was in the car and I showed my girls. I said, look at how many recordings, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, before I liked the 5th. Then I posted it. But I'm like, if we don't practice enough and we don't do it enough, then we're not going to put ourselves out there. And people want to see us.
That's right.
Like when we're talking, you're like, yeah, we're great and all that. Well, why am I not showing that energy online?
Right.
Why is it online than your prim and proper, right? Like Myra Ramirez, she was on my team. Love the girl. She's crazy, right? So in the beginning, when she did her first video, she's so sweet. She's funny. She's hilarious. You would want to go and party with her, right? She was so like stiff and all that. I'm not threatened by anybody.
Right.
If I feel that I can give you advice that's going to help you, I'm going to give it to you because you're, I like you, right? If I give you positive advice, it's because I want you to grow.
That's important. And to keep your thought, it's important what she said, coming from a mentor, leader, top producer mentality, because a lot of folks will off the top of our head give the advice with good intentions, and the other person takes it the wrong way because they think that we are trying to tell them what to do or be better than them. And it's like, no. Like, as a top producer, you really don't know what I've actually gone through. And until I'm presented with the opportunity to shed any of that light, it stays in here.
Yeah.
So
with her, I told her, I said, Myra, you are bubbly. We love you. You have that energy. You need to show it. I'm like, I'll go out there with you when your videographer's there. I said, I will hype you. I will do this because I know, what you can do. Now she's more comfortable. She was part of the NAREP, building up their gatherings and things like that. And now doing more video, and she's more relaxed and she's herself. And I'm like, yeah, that's the Myra I know. But it's things like that. It's like we hold ourselves back or we're nervous. But if you don't practice and put yourself enough in front of that camera, and I know I still don't do it enough, but how far, we could get.
Yeah, because Mark, you said this many times, and that's a good point, Sandra, because Mark always encourages, get video, put yourself out there, because more than anything, they're going to do business with you because they find a connection and they like you. They like your personality. So, I mean, you could be new to the game or a seasoned veteran, but if they see who you are, they're going to want to do business with you because, hey, I like that guy. I like that gal. They're creative. Maybe they can get creative and help me get home.
Well, real life examples, this podcast. I would say the first 50 some odd episodes, we didn't say a curse word because we were absolutely terrified as to what people would think. And then at a certain point, I think it was Andy Hilger asked, hey, or he slipped up, said a curse word. And from that point, I told him on air, I said, hey, as long as you use it the right way, I think we're all right.
So we can say bad words, right?
Yeah, okay. From that point on, it was like, damn shit.
Sorry, Mom. Sorry. That's it.
But yeah, it is. And I was very self-conscious about the show, the image, how people will portray me. Turns out most people are just like you and I. Do they curse? We hope they use them the right way. That's it. But yes, that makes perfect sense. And it's intimidating at first when you jump out there, because all we think about is, what are they going to think about me? Is this content, number one, even digestible? Number two, is it something that they want to actually digest? And number three, how are they going to judge me based off of it? And for those listening to this right now, wondering the same thing, put the content out. It will define itself if you continue to be consistent with it. It'll turn into its own thing. It'll become its own thing. And then you'll start learning how to leverage that into business. So that being said, Sandra, in your journey in the past year and a half of doing video content, how has it helped your business, if at all the smallest way, in regards to new eyeballs?
Tremendously, because most of my business, like everybody knows me, Queen of Pop Buys, because I'm always, doing pop buys, client events, but it wasn't always like that, in the beginning. Once I felt that I had plenty of clients, then I started having events, and once a year, then the pandemic happened and people were not getting out. So we're like, oh shoot, what do we do? And like you said, it's like, don't listen to the media, things like that, just stay in your lane and do what you do best. So obviously the forecast, said that, the market's going to be slow. And I put in my head, I was like, I refuse to believe that. The market is what I make it. And so sometimes I don't even want to attend those, because I'm like, I don't want to hear, it's kind of like Debbie Downers. It's like, I refuse to believe that. But it's good, obviously, to hear it, because then you're like, okay, if they're telling me it's going to be a down market, then I'm going to double what I'm doing to prepare myself for that possible down market. So after that, what I did, I said, you know what, I'm going to start having quarterly events. So for the last 2 years, it's more money, more expense, more time, more effort. I was like, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. So I started having every quarter, a client event and getting in front of my clients, because that's where most of my business comes from. This past year, we did, more videos. I started actually in February, and just from the social media, when I track just the, Instagram leads, and I don't do a lot with it. So when I tracked, I had like 5 leads that I actually closed on. And I was like, wow, that's pretty good for strangers that don't really know me personally, versus, you, Mark, you referred me somebody and it's, they're vouching for it, you're vouching for me. So I thought that was really good. And so I do know that, being out there, people will see it, will see your content. And then if they do their research, then I have my, my Google reviews, things like that they go to. I just got this one buyer last week, and she said she went into Google and she found me and went off of the reviews, and she said, and everything that I read, she's like, that's exactly the realtor I want. And she goes, you're exactly what they were saying. I was like, oh my God, that's so sweet. I said, I should have you do a Google review now and not wait till the end.
That's right.
Well, 2 days later, she did a Google review. So I'm like, awesome. Oh, that's so sweet. So I'm meeting them today for the first time in person, so she found me on Google. So I feel that it's very important for us to continue to put ourselves out there for that reason, because how are these people going to find us if you're a secret agent?
That's right. And I find it super cool when I've mentored many people throughout the years in doing, I want to start video, or I want to start okay, great. First thing is to press record and then be consistent. And it doesn't matter what kind of content, just get it out there at first, and then you'll start to shape the content that you do. And then all of a sudden, 2 months later, they get their first lead.
Yeah.
And a month later, that lead closes, and they're like, oh my God, it actually worked.
Yeah.
And you can sit back as somebody that's done it and go, no shit.
Yeah.
Why do you think that we spend so much time coaching, preaching about it? It's that level of, it's almost as simple as whether you believe you can or can't, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the mindset and the mentality that, gosh, this will never work, or I could never be on camera, which was probably your mindset before press and record that first couple of times, no, you're not going to get the results that you're looking for. Why? Because were you really looking for them? Because if you were, you'd convince yourself that you can do this and that you will do it. And then all of a sudden the business comes and you go, okay, I knew it all along.
Yeah.
You know?
But I think also too, surrounding yourself with people that are already doing it. So that's where I feel my brokerage at Real.
Yeah.
So many people are doing, videos and yes, I look at it as like, oh, I can't be at his level, but he started where I started.
Right.
So yes, you can be at that level, but you have to take the first step.
Absolutely.
And I think by surrounding yourself with people that are already doing it, then it's almost like that peer pressure, like, oh, she did a video. It looks good. I need to keep it up.
And also y'all have different followers.
Yes.
It's not like y'all have the same.
Yeah.
So people that are following you think you're the, oh my God, video expert.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. And a lot of folks out there do believe that, oh man, I saw this great video that this realtor put out. Go make the same one. Do it in your words. Because
your followers aren't going to see that one.
Absolutely.
Redo it.
So, Sandra, I pulled up some stuff on ChatGPT, and we'll flip back and forth from this content and data discovery that we have here. And I just want to talk about some of these things because as smart as AI is, I wanted to test its skills to see if it correlates with what we do here. So I asked ChatGPT, based on what you can find on the internet using actual data, how important is it for real estate professionals to incorporate video into your business, and why is it important? So it goes on to say, incorporating video into the real estate marketing increasingly vital for professionals, aiming to enhance client engagement and drive sales. Here's why. It says enhances client engagement and lead generation. Increased inquiries, listing featured videos receive 403 more inquiries than those without, indicating higher buyer interest. Higher lead generation. Video makers obtain 66% more qualified leads annually and experience 54% boost in their brand awareness. Come back to us. We're not talking chump change numbers. Those are significant increases in your engagement, increases in your capture, increases in your brand awareness. And one of the things that we talk heavily about in any kind of discussion, I don't care what motivational speaker or anything you're looking at these days, but they all talk about brand awareness. People need to know who your brand is and what you do and what it stands for. And I can honestly say, if I go to your social media, I know damn well exactly what Sandra Rangel and her team stands for. It's right there on the front face. Just like you mentioned, I had a potential client that found me online, went to my reviews, guarantee she went to your social media, looked at some of your content and went, you know what? I like her. Mm-hmm. Because real estate is real estate, but who you do real estate with has to do with someone you like, know, or trust.
Correct. I had somebody say, when I went through your reviews, they didn't look like they were bot reviews. And I was like, I didn't realize there's a such thing that they can create them. But I'm like, all of mine are human. They're sincere.
Living and breathing. Yeah. Not like those election voters. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, okay. So let's flip back to this over here. Consumer preferences for video content. 73% of home buyers are more inclined to list with an agent who utilizes video, highlighting its role in attracting clients. 73%. That's, again, not chump change figures. Influence on buying decision. 44% of consumers are more likely to purchase after watching a video about a product or service, underscoring videos' persuasive power. These are, honestly, it's the first time I'm looking at this. I looked it up and then threw it over here, but
I love chat.
I mean, wow, right? Competitive advantage, utilization by agents. Despite its benefits, only about 10% of agents currently employ video in their marketing strategies. Let's stop right there. That is so dramatic of a difference in regards to the level of impact that it can make on your business and the lack of participation from those that are not incorporating it into their business. What do you have to say about that? I mean, what are your thoughts on, obviously it's fear. But is it also not wanting to get out of the comfort zone, being lazy, not thinking it'll work? Who knows? But we know that all of the ones that are actually doing it are receiving astronomical uptick in their figures, closings, everything. Especially you. You mentioned you're doing it. Boom, 5 closings. Holy cow, it's working. Why are more people not doing this?
I think because obviously in the beginning, like I just went to go visit one of my clients and she opened a plant shop. And she said,
what kind of plant shop? Just kidding. Chris?
A regular plant shop.
Let's have a meeting over there afterward.
But she was, praising me on my social media. And she says, wow, you obviously hire somebody to do all this marketing for you and all that. And literally right there, I did a video of her place and I showed her how I used CapCut to plug it in. I showed her templates and, look, really quick, like 5 minutes, I did a video for her. And she's like, wow, I had never heard of CapCut and I didn't know I could do that. And so she goes, you should have a class, right, to teach people that don't know that. So I think sometimes it's the lack of knowing what tools are out there. CapCut's free.
Absolutely.
If you want the more advanced, you pay a couple of dollars more a month, but with the free version, you can do so much with it. A lot of the little simple stuff I do with CapCut. Like I just bought an espresso machine. And so yesterday, as I'm making it, my coffee, I did a video. So I'll probably post it today.
Oh, cool.
And I'm like, oh my God, that looks so cool. But I'd use the templates.
That's right.
And it just makes me look like a professional.
Absolutely.
And, even my assistant, she says, the clarity is so good. And I'm like, yeah, I did it all for me.
And that goes back to like how you're saying what your coffee, you're showing your lifestyle. Mark, you always preach what used to be the 80-20 rule. Now it's like the 90-10 rule, which again, you're showing your personality, which is going to get the business.
That's right.
Mark preaches that all the time. Yeah.
Exactly.
Because I'm being told that, but sometimes I forget and I'm like, or I take the content and I'm running around driving, so by the time I put it together and I'm like, oh, it's already too late. And I'm like, I can't even post it. It's not that day anymore, So we get in our own heads instead of saying, you know what, stop. Do your video. Yes. Do your video, post, like that 3-step process, right? And so I think a lot of it is probably because people think that they need to go hire somebody.
You're right.
So if you're going to do, the model homes, go and visit the model homes, take a lot of video, then use your CapCut and then post it. It doesn't have to be professional. We all started somewhere, just create it and post it, and then people will start seeing you.
Absolutely. And for those of you out there that believe that CapCut is maybe too daunting for you, I actually have committed to doing a CapCut class. I utilize CapCut to edit these podcast videos that we're talking on right now. All of the content that you see on social media. So just put your email in the comments and I'll make sure that you get the invite to that. We have not set a date, but it will be at the end of this month or so. And I just think that one of the excuses or one of the reasons that I hear often is, oh, I don't want to do that. Everybody's doing it. And,
for a reason.
And to that point, I can now, which I didn't know before today, I can now say that you're wrong. Only 10% of you guys are doing that. So there's still 90% of you that are saying exactly what you're saying right now and holding yourself back from growing your business from something so simple as pressing record and telling the camera what you already know.
And every so often we'll get together as a group of agents and saying, hey, we're going to go out to 3 or 4 model homes. Let's get together. And then that way we can show you the tips that we're doing and then how we put it together. I think we went out 2 times and we're getting ready to do a 3rd one. But, get with agents that are doing that and, go and, or don't be afraid to ask somebody that you see that does that to say, hey, can I shadow you one day when you go and take content just to see how you do it? And you might pick up some tips that you're like, oh, I didn't know to walk it that way. Don't walk straight into the model home. Walk, curve around, the walkway, and it just gives a totally different.
Ladies and gentlemen, professional status, y'all. Just like that. That makes me super happy because I remember like it was yesterday how nervous and hesitant you were to even jump out into this new venture that you're doing. And I love that you're doing great with it and still remaining consistent, which is, again, the hardest thing that we can do as humans is be consistent at anything.
Correct. You're like the big brother. You watch me grow.
Look at her go. Look at her go. That's awesome. So, JC, what are we at on time?
You're at 57 minutes.
Okay, so let's wrap this up with the following. Let's go back to the reference, and there's plenty more of these tips. Guys, if you want to learn more about this, jump into ChatGPT, literally copy paste exactly what you see on the screen. It will give you probably the same answer depending on how you've trained your ChatGPT. Good boy, good boy. So the next thing that I ask ChatGPTs, how often should you post on social media as a realtor, and what is the best content to capture new customers? And I'm going to run through this real quick because I want to get to the tips piece at the end here. Let's see here. Facebook, aim to post 1 to 2 per day to keep the audience engaged without overwhelming them. Instagram, 1 to 3 times per day. Twitter, due to its fast-pacing nature, consider posting 12 to 15 times daily, sharing a mixed list of market updates and community news. That's impressive.
Yep. I'm on Twitter, and if you do once a day, you're not going to get any traction. There's a reason why Elon posts
So much.
1 million times a day.
Wow.
Yeah, you have to do more. Yeah, I agree with that.
Would you look at that? The next thing on this, and again, I have not looked at this once before we're now throwing it on the screen. Consistency is the key.
Yes.
Right there. However, it's crucial to monitor audience engagement to adjust your post schedule according to avoid content fatigue. And what that's meaning is after about a week or 2 weeks of posting, and you've been consistent on the time frame in which you're posting, and you're not seeing the results, or you are seeing the results, that's giving you an indicator on the time in which you're posting in the day that the people that you have as followers are able to look at your content, willing to look at your content, and engaging with your content. So listen to the signs. They're all there. Just listen to them and adjust yourself accordingly. Let's see here. So let's jump into this piece over here where it says, I'd like to know some common tips to give someone that is starting recording content for real estate. For someone just starting out with recording real estate content, here are some valuable tips to create engagement and effective videos. So real quick, we're going to go through these, and I want to see if you agree, disagree, or can add some level of expertise to this. So number 1, plan your content in advance. Create, outline, or a script to cover key points. Keep it keep conscious of and engaging. Map out content themes like property tours, neighborhood highlights, marketing tips, and client testimonials to build a variety of consistency. What are your thoughts on that?
I agree, because I think it's just like when you plan your week. You plan it, Sunday, you look what you have for the week. So even if you just do it weekly to know, okay, what day am I going to post? There's different creators that'll say, okay, on Mondays, you're going to post something personal. On Tuesdays, you're going to post something business. On Wednesday, you're going to post something about the community. So if you're going to be that type that you're going to be consistent on posting those different things, then you already have your schedule. So you already know, okay, even if you went out one day and you went and took content of different things in the community, and you're like, okay, I took enough today for the next 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So then you don't have to feel like, oh, I'm constantly out there getting content and I feel like I'm always doing this. Then it's going to feel tedious instead of feeling like you planned it. I have one friend of mine that on Mondays, he goes and does all his home tour videos, when the light is great in the morning before the sun is actually, hitting too hard on the front of the home. And then he's already getting for a couple of days, so.
So you're saying that it's possible to just go out and record a bunch of content to have it ready to post. You don't have to record, post.
Correct.
Crazy content. I love it. So number 2, use quality equipment and lighting. Invest in decent camera and use a smartphone with high quality camera. Ensure good lighting. Natural light works well, but for indoor shoots, use soft LED lights to avoid harsh shadows. And that's what we're using right now in the podcast studio. We're using high quality cameras. But what are your thoughts on that?
And it's great that you asked that question because, so David Gonzalez, he moved into our brokerage and he's the one that we've been shadowing because he does all these videos. He's now just starting to do some videos for me as well. And we went out and met with him and he was telling us how he records. So one time he showed us his carousel on his Instagram. We thought he pulled those from the model home website. And we're like, oh, wow, are those from the model home? He's like, no, I took those.
Yeah, they wish they had this content.
Yeah. He's like, with his iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as you have the settings where they need to be. So he said the next meet that we're having, we're actually going to meet with him so he can show us how he actually does the still photos. So then we can do our carousel with the model home photos and not worry about, taking something from somewhere and then getting in trouble because you didn't have the rights to use those photos. So I'm excited, but it was just with his iPhone, and it's making sure you have the settings where they need to be. And I think that's really, you don't have to go buy expensive equipment.
Ladies and gentlemen out there, you're literally watching us on one of the most expensive and high definition camera devices that you can find on the market. Did they do it intentionally? I don't know. Maybe so, because video content on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook is so relevant and desired, and consumers are trying to scroll for the bottom of the page every day, that they equipped us with an incredible camera that you can literally turn on and voila, you've already spent the money.
Correct.
You've already invested in it. Now use it. Right?
Correct.
Crazy concept.
And if you're going to do video, all I did was bought a little mic off of Amazon.
There you go.
And so I put it on, I plug it in, and that works.
And it's funny that you mentioned that, because the next number 3 says focus on audio quality. Clear audio is crucial. Use a lapel mic. That's what
Yes.
you're talking about.
Mhm.
Connect with Bluetooth or an external microphone to enhance voice quality. Right now, guys, I'm talking on a pod mic from, what is this, Rodecaster. Then I've got a Shure mic over on the other side, an M7, which 100% we paid a little money for it, but I guarantee you can tell the difference coming through your speakers right now. Avoid recording in noisy environments, or poor audio can make the content hard to follow. 100%. You don't want to distract them for anything other than you at the moment. And for those of you that don't have the funds, don't want to risk buying the equipment, there are plenty of tech apps out there, AI, that will help you clean up your audio automatically. Auphonic.com is a great place where you buy time, you upload your video, it spits it out, clean audio as can be. Matter of fact, before we bought all these fancy mics, that's what we used to clean this audio up.
Hey, even CapCut cleans up audio.
It will.
Yeah.
Not as good as Auphonic, though.
Oh, that's incredible.
But yeah, I mean, you just mentioned getting a solid mic. You utilize it. For those out there that are not utilizing a mic, what do you have in way of advice for them?
Well, it just depends, because if I'm doing, a video, so I hired this company in California, and he's doing my videos where I'm doing my talking heads, my green screens.
Okay.
Because I'm not going to do it myself,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because if it's never going to happen. So it was like, okay, great, you're going to help me. So he coaches me over the computer. I have my computer up, and it's a live Zoom. He's coaching me with the lines of what I have to say.
How cool.
I have my tripod. I have my telephone, with the recording, and then I have the Bluetooth. So if I didn't have that, if I'm going to be far from my phone, then the quality is not going to be the same.
That's right.
Even though I'm in an enclosed room, so it's important to have at least, and they're not that expensive.
Not
They're
at
like
all.
less than $100 is what I paid for it.
As a matter of fact, guys, listening, tuning in, I'm going to put a couple of links to a couple of inexpensive devices that you can use to purchase to leverage with your audio.
But if you're going to do house tours, and you don't have to talk while you're doing the tours. You can do the voiceover on CapCut.
Absolutely.
So they'll learn that in your class. So you do the videos. I haven't done that because obviously I don't like how my voice sounds. So I did one voiceover, but I haven't been consistent on voiceover, but I'm going to work on that too.
Absolutely.
But it's things like that there are solutions that I can go and take all these videos of these homes and then place where I want to say what I need to say exactly as the video's playing.
Super smart, very forward thinking. And you don't necessarily have to be forward thinking when you're recording, because you can always go back to edit that, right?
Yeah.
Let's see here. Number 4, showcase key features. Highlight unique and appealing property features. Walk through rooms, explain layouts, and mention details like floor types, finishes, and upgrades. If you're showcasing a neighborhood, focus on popular spots and amenities to help potential buyers envision the lifestyle. It's always about painting that picture, always in regards to that. I'm going to skip to number 5. Keep the video short and engaging. Aim for short clips, 1 to 3 minutes for social media and slightly longer ones for platforms like YouTube, 5 to 10 minutes. Well, you're watching a long form podcast, guys, but I use an app called Opus Pro to take this episode, jump it, throw the link after it's been edited into Opus, and it clips up everything for us. No additional effort needed. It's just a little bit of money and you're done. Truly. What are your thoughts on the length of engagement? Because I almost disagree with this a little bit. The idea of 1 to 3 minutes, I think it's still too long.
I think it just depends on the platform.
Okay.
Because if you have Instagram, they tell you 30 seconds, or less. Obviously, if you put something 5 seconds, depending on what they're reading, it's going to keep looping.
That's right.
And so you're going to get more views, so what is it that you're trying to do? You trying to get just the views, or are you trying to actually get,
A
people
point across. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I know that with YouTube, which I'm not focused on that right now. And reason being is that, what do you mean I have to talk for 2-3 minutes? So obviously that's, eventually baby steps. So I'm going to focus on what I feel I'm going to be good at right now. So the Instagram, keeping the 30 seconds, within, shorter period, because everybody's going to keep scrolling. If it's too long, they're going to keep going. I did do the lifestyle, one that I really liked that Harley did for me. And it was on a model home and it was really good. And even though my purpose was to attract buyers, maybe even sellers, people that wanted to live by the rim. Most of my friends, my peers were commenting on it, which was really good because it just kind of motivates me that I need to do more of that.
It reinforces what you're doing.
Yes. And so I was like, so it was really great to, most of the people that were my friends, my colleagues were commenting on how great they loved it. That I was jogging to Lifetime from that model home. They're like, did you really run all the way? And I'm like, no. But
that's awesome.
It gives you that lifestyle impression that if you moved into the subdivision, you could run to the gym right here.
And your absolutely intention is to paint that picture. How do you paint that picture other than here's a visual for it?
Yeah.
It's incredibly simple, but so difficult for 90% of the industry.
Correct. And so we kept it short, but you had those drone photos coming from the house and then the drone photo as I'm, jogging up the sidewalk and then into, the gym. So I'm proud of that video. I really like it.
You should be.
So.
Matter of fact, you should be proud of all of what you're doing because you are, as mentioned in the beginning of this discussion, getting out of your comfort zone to continue to grow, not just maintain your business. Yeah. And that speaks volumes. And obviously you're joining the part of the 73%, the 403%, all of those crazy percentages that we're seeing an uptick in business for those that are in this down market, That being said, let's see here. I've got leverage fire. Okay. You know what? I'm going to skip all the rest, but go right here to number 6. Be authentic and personable. And this is something that we hit on earlier on in this discussion. And I think it is the most important. Let your personality shine through. You were talking about one of your folks that joined, and it's like, dude, be yourself. You can't be this stiffy because that's what people see right now, you know? And this says that buyers want to connect with a person behind the listing. So be friendly and approachable. Speak naturally and look directly at the camera to create a sense of connection with that person. Yeah. Very, very.
Find your tribe.
That's right. Find your tribe. Yeah. I mean, all of this information and like you said, you don't focus on 1 to 3 to 5 minute clips. Well, after this discussion, bam, you're going to have a ton of them and they're going to be awesome because the content in here wasn't just content canned information. This is stuff that you're actually deploying into your business and it's working. Why? Because you're consistent, you're creative, you're trying new things, and you're getting out of that so-called comfort zone that the rest of the 90% remains and will maybe die there.
Trial and error. It's part of being a business owner, trying to, continue to thrive. And then what else can we do that might help us grow even more?
Absolutely. Sandra, this has been an incredible discussion. For your second one, coming back after quite some time, you look like, what do they say, like riding a bicycle, you get on and you're just, now she's popping wheelies and stuff. That's awesome. As we wrap this up, is there anything that you would like to share with our listeners, our viewers, whether it be for buyers, realtors, lenders, anybody?
No, I mean, just, just make sure don't hold yourself back. Because, if I would have started sooner, then I probably, had a different impact now. But I know that, a lot of us, like we talked about being introverts, that we're in our own heads thinking, no, people don't want to see me. People don't want to hear me. It's like, just do it and you'll be glad you did it. And then you'll be, upset that you didn't do it sooner.
That's very true. No, that's very
and
true.
And if anybody needs, advice or tips, DM me. I'll be happy to help or suggest whatever I think you might need. Wherever I can help. A
clear indicator of a true leader, offering up services to help the betterment of everybody. And truly, one of the reasons is if you get better, it also makes us level up as well, because let's face it, you can keep chasing us, but you'll never catch us. And I want to repeat something real quick before we end this. And I think it's super powerful. And just a large fact data. Increased inquiries. Listing featured videos receive 403 more inquiries than those without. Video marketing obtained 66%. More qualified leads annually experience 54% boost in brand awareness. 73% of home buyers are more inclined to list with an agent who utilizes video, highlights the role of attraction in clients. 44% of consumers are more likely to purchase after watching a video about product, service, or what does that say? Or underscoring videos' persuasive power. And that being the case, and that being said, guys, that's some strong data to help get you out of that 90% and over to the 10% column. Sandra, I want to thank you again for being a freaking rock star as usual. I wish you continued success and growth and the ability to continue to say, screw it. I am going to do this because it's going to be better for me, my family, and the industry as a whole. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Again.
You're awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks again for continuing to watch. Make sure to like, subscribe. If you're getting something out of this, please make sure to share it. We have content on Facebook. We've got it on YouTube, a little bit on TikTok, but I really appreciate it. Continue to tune in because I will promise to bring experts only. Till then, we will catch you on the next one.